everyone, thanks for tuning into my channel once again, and today I got an interesting kind of story behind my DKM clutch that just failed. I'm going to show you some pictures of the DKM clutch that just failed and describe why I think it failed and the problems that I think these clutches have on the MK7 GTI and the MQB platform in general. So let's get right to this video. I also want to give a huge shout out to my friends here in Tucson, Arizona that helped me with the install of the Southbend clutch. I mean, I just have awesome friends, guys. I met these guys. They have a bunch of GTIs and Jettas, and they're just VW enthusiasts and Audi enthusiasts as well, and they're just awesome people. So I want to give a shout out to you guys and thank you for all of your help that you did me with installing my new clutch. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So thank you so much, guys. So of course I decided to do all the diagnosis procedures to find out what was causing the clutch to stick. So I hooked up my pressure bleeder to the brake reservoir, and I looked for any leaks underneath my footwell where the clutch pedal is. I found 0 leaks there. When I hooked up my pressure bleeder, I looked for leaks along the brake master cylinder, the clutch master cylinder, and the clutch fluid line that goes to the bleeder block, as well as any leaks next to the bleeder block itself. I found 0 leaks there. When I put my pressure bleeder on there and I pumped it up to 10 psi pressure, it held pressure just fine. So I knew that there was no pressure leaking from any of the master cylinders, whether it was the brake or the clutch master cylinder, and that there was no leak at the bleeder block itself. And so what I did for another test is I took some crimpers and I crimped off the clutch line that goes to the bleeder block from the clutch master cylinder. I pinched that off, and then I went inside the car to see if the pedal feel has changed, which it did. There was a lot more pressure on the clutch pedal itself, which means that anything from where I pinched the clutch line off and before that, meaning like the clutch master cylinder or the brake master cylinder, there was no leaking there. So I knew that there was no leaking there. And so unfortunately, I knew that it was going to be a slave cylinder failure / throwout bearing. And because in this car, the slave cylinder and the throwout bearing is all one piece. And that one piece is inside the bell housing of your transmission, which means if that fails, then you have to take apart your entire transmission. And that also means that if it fails too, that you're going to have fluid, brake fluid, inside your bell housing, and that fluid could easily contaminate your clutch. Now, I wasn't getting any symptoms of slipping or anything like that, but I knew that the clutch was going to be ultimately contaminated because the slave cylinder or the throwout bearing failed. This really kind of frustrated me because, number one, this is a brand new clutch that I installed last November and have not put that many miles on it. Number two, the throwout bearing / slave cylinder that came with the DKM Stage 2 MB clutch was the upgraded all metal version, which is what everyone says you want to get. And I was super stoked that that slave cylinder / throwout bearing came with that one because it was an upgraded piece apparently. And so I felt super safe when installing this clutch. Well, it failed. I don't know of anyone else that has the all metal throwout bearing / slave cylinder that has had a failure with it. And so I was like, dude, this just sucks, because I knew that I had to get now a new clutch, and it was just a big job. That's what I was most frustrated about, and that I had the upgraded piece and it failed on me. So I also decided to go underneath my car and check out where my transmission meets the block, because if you see oil seeping from there, then you either know it's a rear main seal leak and or a slave cylinder leak. And rest assured, it was definitely leaking from under there, which was weird because just a week prior to that, it was not leaking. It was just really odd. And so I was like, well, I guess my rear main seal is also leaking too. And the reason why I knew that is because I have engine oil. I'll use the liquid Molygen oil, which has an additive in there where if you shine a black light on it, you can see the fluorescence of it. And so I decided to shine my fluorescent light, black light, onto the spot where it was leaking between the transmission and the engine block, and it was fluorescent. So I knew that I also had a rear main seal leak, which stink because I installed the iAbed rear main seal. I made sure it was fully seated and pressed before I installed it. It was completely flat, and when I installed it, I also used the install tool to make sure that that lip that is in the rear main seals did not flip up on me. I 100% made sure that this was 100% when I installed it. I double checked, triple checked it, quadruple checked it when I did the install. And knowing that I have a rear main seal leak on another piece, the iAbed rear main seal that everyone says get because it's an upgraded piece, I don't know what to say, guys. I really don't know what to say. It was very frustrating to know that I was taking the extra precautions on the iAbed rear main seal, as well as the all metal throwout bearing / slave cylinder, and both of them have failed. Both of them failed, and so I don't know why they failed. I really do not know why they failed, but they failed indeed. So I decided that I was not going to go with the iAbed rear main seal on this new installation with the new kit, because now I am just one of them that doesn't trust them. I also did the seal around the iAbed in the back to make sure that I didn't put too much or too little. I just did everything perfectly on it, and it still failed. And so I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to go back to the OEM rear main seal. I'm taking a risk at using my old one, but I know for sure that one didn't leak ever. And I put almost 80,000 miles on the car before taking that one off, and it never had an issue. And I've gone through 2 clutches before that. So I'm going to tell you what clutch kit I decided to go with. And I decided to go with Southbend. 2 reasons why. The one clutch kit that I wanted to get, which was called X Clutch, wasn't available, so I was in a bind because I needed to get this new clutch installed this last weekend, which was yesterday, and I decided to go with Southbend. And I know in my last video that I made about the DKM clutch, I said that I would never go with Southbend because of the price. And I still stick by that. I still stick by that because Southbend clutches are very expensive, guys. Very expensive. I think they're seriously marked up like 60 to 70% of what they really should be. But I either had an option that wasn't going to hold the torque or Southbend. Those were like my only 2 options. And all the other websites that I was considering, they were not going to be able to get me the clutch kit that I wanted by the time that I needed it. And so I was kind of in a bind, and so I decided to go with the Southbend Stage 3 Endurance. And I only picked the Endurance because it has a lot better reviews over the daily, and I picked Stage 3 because the Stage 2 reviews were kind of so iffy, and the Stage 3 Endurance just has awesome reviews everywhere. It can hold plenty of torque. I think it's 580 foot-pounds of torque, which is way overkill for what I need. And the clutch is very expensive, and it's seriously just insanely priced. But it was my option. But I know that having that threshold of a higher torque, and I'm only pushing maybe 430 spiked, but usually just 400 torque, as is with my tune and the IS38 right now. So it's not going to get anywhere near the threshold of what the Southbend Stage 3 Endurance clutch can handle. So I'm hoping it can last a long time. And I'm just going to drive it like I've always driven it. So I decided to go with that kit mainly because it was the only option available. If I had a choice and I had another car that I could drive right now for work and stuff, I probably would have waited for the X Clutch, because it was a great clutch for the price, and they have awesome reviews everywhere, and they're just solid looking. So I would have waited for that, but since I was in a bind, I decided to go with Southbend. One thing that I noticed in the kit is it comes with a shim kit for the throwout bearing / slash slave cylinder, which none of the other kits that I know of come with. So I was super stoked that that kit came with that, and hopefully that will solve the slave cylinder slash throwout bearing issues that everybody's having. You can buy this kit. It's like 2 little metal washers. You can buy this kit. I think it's like 90 bucks. And so if I would recommend getting that kit to anyone who ever buys these kits. But it's a solid looking clutch. Installed it yesterday. I'm not going to show any of the install. I'm just going to show some pictures and video of the failed slave cylinder slash throwout bearing, and then the clutch assembly of the DKM, and then the DKM Stage 2 MB clutch assembly, and show you some video of that. I'm going to show you some of the leakage that came from the slave cylinder slash throwout bearing, and I'm also going to show you some pictures of the iAbed rear main seal that was also leaking. So let's get into that part of this video. Sorry, this is kind of long, but if I missed any details, I wanted to make sure I put it in there just for those who are looking to get these clutches, because the more information, in my opinion, the better for those of you who are buying clutches for this platform. The Southbend Stage 3 Endurance clutch is on the car right now. Before I stop here in this part, the nice thing about DKM is I was able to get a hold of them pretty easily through Competition Clutch. They're the ones who deal with the warranty issues with DKM, and it's been a very easy process getting a hold of them and doing the warranty. So they're going to warranty the entire clutch and send me out a brand new DKM Stage 2 MB clutch, I'm pretty sure. And when I get that, I will be selling it for anyone who wants a really good price on a brand new DKM Stage 2 MB clutch kit. All right, so let's get to the video. Alright everyone, so I just wanted to give you a quick video of how my DKM Stage 2 MB clutch failed. And it was because of the throwout bearing here. As you can see, this is the throwout bearing that everyone is talking about to upgrade. It's the all metal version, all metal. This whole piece right here is all metal, and the spigot, all of this is all metal. And if you can hear this, see it from that angle. That's a pretty worn out throwout bearing, guys. Now that the throwout bearing is also the slave cylinder, and it wasn't really the throwout bearing that failed, but when I took it apart, obviously you can hear it. You know, the bearings in there are pretty worn. But what the clutch was doing was it was sticking at the point of engagement at the top of the clutch pedal, which means that the slave cylinder was going bad after all the other tests that I did. So after a bunch of tests, I knew that my slave cylinder was bad. And upon taking it apart, there was a bunch of brake fluid, oil. There was oil all over inside the bell housing of the transmission. This throwout bearing slash slave cylinder definitely failed. I was very surprised because this is the one that everyone says, hey, get the all metal throwout bearing slave cylinder. And I did, and this is what happened. It failed on me. But let's take a look at the clutch itself. The clutch actually grabbed fine still, and as you can see here, there's going to be plenty of meat left on the clutch disc. But when a throwout bearing fails, or throwout bearing slave cylinder fails, as you can see here, all that oil down here, that's all brake fluid. This was all from the slave cylinder throwout bearing. And as you can see here, there's some hot spots, but it doesn't look completely bad. Like, this is the pressure plate. It doesn't look horrible, but there are some hot spots there. But you can definitely see that where the slave cylinder meets here and the throwout bearing meets here, that there's a bunch of oil around here. Set that aside right there. Let's go on to the clutch disc itself. Now the clutch disc doesn't look bad. It honestly looks pretty dang good, but you can see there are some wear items. And this clutch was installed brand new last October. I bought it, so I installed it in November of 2020. So it hasn't been that long, guys. Everything was installed correctly. This overall looks pretty good, but Obviously, I'm replacing the whole thing because if you have any failures with your slave/throwout bearing, it could contaminate the disc and the pressure plate and the flywheel, or any one of those. And when any one of those fail, you're going to want to replace it all. So, let's go on to the flywheel itself. Other than some hot spots here and there, the flywheel looks pretty good. There were no bolts that came out or anything like that. The clutch operation was just weird with the clutch pedal sticking, but other than that, when it did engage, it hooked. It hooked just fine. And may I remind you that I put 1,000 and almost 1,100, so 1,050 or 1,060 miles on break-in period on this clutch, because I was extra careful, being it was my second aftermarket clutch and I wanted it to last a long time. So I was pretty specific on how to break it in, and this is what I get, guys. This is what I get. But anyways, not too bad on the flywheel itself. Honestly, it looks pretty good, looks pretty even, but given that, you know, there was a failure, I'm going to replace it all. As you can see here, or maybe you can't see, but there is some clutch dust in here that was a result of all this. So that's the clutch itself. Not too bad. It's just that the slave cylinder/throwout bearing fell on me, which sucks. Sucks really bad. And I'm not the first one that this has happened to. So just kind of a bummer. Now regarding the failure of the all-metal slave cylinder throwout bearing, I don't know if that's been a failure with anyone. I'm the first one that I know of that this specific style, which is supposed to be an upgrade, has failed. So, and I do not drive my car hard, guys. I do not track my car. I rarely take it to the canyons anymore, and I mostly just drive it in city traffic for work. That's really mostly what I do with it. Some highway here and there, and this just a normal driving on a car that was a manual from the factory, with these upgraded clutches, which are supposed to be better than factory and operate better than factory. It's just ridiculous how many failures you get on these alone. I don't know what's up with that VW. What is up with your designs? Like, why? I know this isn't made from VW, but it's the same manufacturer that makes the VW part that goes into the OEM clutches. So I just don't get it, guys. I just don't get it. Yeah, I just don't get it. Well, let's go on to the other item that failed, and that is the iAbed rear main seal. As you can see here, it is pressed. It is pressed in there. I don't know if you can see that, but it is pressed in there. I made sure that I installed this 100% correctly when I did it the last time. That I pressed it evenly. There is no lip here. There's nothing. That I actually bought the installation tool, and then I put it on there, and then I put the bolts on correctly with the little dowel pin that goes behind this one, and that I installed the sealant correctly. I did everything according to what all the instructions said and all the other videos that I've seen online. Did everything, and this thing failed. This thing failed. I don't know how it failed. I don't know how it leaked, because it does not seem that there are any rips or tears or anywhere in the seal itself. This is a pretty robust seal. It has like a double lip here, so this one installs down, and then this one is to prevent more, I guess. I don't know, but I installed it all correctly, and this thing failed. There was just massive engine oil coming out, and I noticed it between my transmission and my engine block, and I was like, that's a rear main seal leak. It's either that or my slave cylinder is just leaking that much fluid for it to drip all out of there. I think it was actually both, to be honest. I haven't got any codes on my car, no PCV valve codes, no nothing. I was having upper timing chain cover leaks with a oil cap leak for the longest time, but I fixed all those recently, and there hasn't been any leaks since, so I knew that I was getting leaked. But that's all common stuff. That's all common stuff on the Mark 7 GTI. where it leaks on the upper timing and the lower timing chain cover sometimes, but mostly the upper timing chain cover gasket fails, or the rings inside the timing covers. I replaced all that. And I know that the oil cap leaking is also a common failure. People, all over the forums have said that they have oil cap leaks. And so I decided to go back to the OEM part, because that one never leaked. But when I installed this on the last install, I just did it for preventative maintenance, because that's what everyone says to do, right? Get the iAbed preventative maintenance. Might as well do it when you're doing a clutch job, even though my OEM seal never leaked. So that's a breakdown of everything right there. I hope this wasn't too long for you. Hope this explained a lot. All right, guys, so I hope you liked learning about how my DKM Stage 2 MB clutch slave cylinder / throwout bearing failed, as well as my iAbed rear main seal failed. What is my loss is your gain. You can learn a lot of information from other people's problems. That's how I learn a lot of my stuff with my car. And sometimes, we have to learn from our mistakes, like I am. I don't know if it was really a mistake on my end. It was just a failure. I mean, these throwout bearing slave cylinders just fail all the time, and it's really annoying. So I'm hoping this new slave cylinder / throwout bearing that comes with the shim kit works a lot better and a lot longer with the Southbend kit. I'm glad to give out any information to you guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. I'd really appreciate it. And we're almost on our way to 300 subscribers, guys. This is awesome. When I first started this channel, even though it's been a while, and I don't upload very often, I really don't. But for the videos that I have made, I'm just surprised that I actually have almost 300 subs. Like 300 of you guys like my channel. That's pretty cool. Enough to subscribe to it and see other videos. So if you like this video, or if you see any other videos in my channel that you like, I have all sorts of stuff and planning to do a lot more stuff. Give it a like, give it a thumbs down. I don't really care, but at least you're viewing it. That's awesome. Give me some comments. That's awesome. If you need any information and want to learn anything from me, let me know. Write it in the comments, or check out my Instagram page, which is Jace's Own World, and you can message me on there. And so thanks again for watching. Appreciate it, and you guys have an awesome day. Peace.